On this mini episode of Bite Sized, we're doing something a little bit different, something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Hi friends, Ben here. This is not a normal episode, as you probably guessed by the title. Instead, I had an opportunity to do something pretty fun and exciting, and something that I hope to do a lot more of in the future of this show. I got to sit down and have a talk with an actual actor who was actually in the movie Twilight. How incredibly exciting. Specifically, I had a chat with Brandon Christy. You may know him better as Cat Guy from that scene where, Bella and Edward are in the Italian restaurant and Edward is going around reading minds and he says,
I can read every mind in this room, apart from yours. Just money, sex, money, sex, cat.
That guy. When Edward says cats, he's that one. It's him. I talked to him, and he's here, and you're going to hear it now. I'll come back in a little bit after the end of the talk to wrap up stuff, tell you a little bit about what's going on with the show. But for now, please enjoy my conversation with Brandon Christy. Brandon, I am going to start this interview the way I start every interview on the show, and I am extra looking forward to hearing your answer for reasons that my listeners will soon find out. So, what is your history with the Twilight franchise?
Well, my history began staring at a computer. At that point in time, I was doing community theater and in the Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington area, and I had some friends that were starting to do films and commercials and things. So I got an agent, and so I'm on the agent's website. So my first memory of Twilight was seeing the role being up. That was the first time I'd ever heard about Twilight, and I didn't even really hear that it was called Twilight until because I auditioned for multiple roles.
Oh, really?
And then and then I mean, I'm not sure what they were. They don't really say like the name of the character or anything. It's just like a description.
Right. Were any of them speaking parts or just featured extras like this one?
Yeah, it was all background stuff.
Okay.
In the movie industry, you have to have your SAG card to get lines. And
right.
You can only get your SAG card from having SAG card parts, but you can't get the SAG card parts without having your SAG card. It's kind of a weird loophole.
So did you have any idea what Twilight was? Had you heard of the books before applying for this job, essentially?
No. All I knew is that it was a vampire movie.
Yeah.
So I was excited to be working on a horror film.
Sure.
I worked on the film 3 days.
Okay.
So the first day I was there, we kind of I had like rented a car because I didn't even have a car, and then they ended up using my car, so I had my car on set.
Okay.
And I was kind of hanging out in the car the whole time, and then they came and got it. One of the people that was working on the crew asked me if I had read Twilight, and I said no, and they gave me the book. And so I spent kind of my whole first day on set sitting in my car reading the book. So then I kind of knew what it was before I actually did any filming, but I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting for sure.
Yeah, certainly not a horror movie, I would say.
Yeah, but there were fans all over the place kind of stalking the set.
Yeah, what was that like?
It was just kind of, they weren't coming up close, but you saw people, they were like holding the books. Yeah. And they were just kind of lurking about. So I was like, wow, this film might have some traction. It seems to have some fans who are crazy enough to stalk the film set.
Sure.
So that was kind of crazy, but that was definitely the first time I'd heard anything about it at all. So, and then I read the book and I was like, this is like a teenage girl love novel.
Right.
So,
not super vampire related at all. You said it took you 3 days. You were on set for 3 days filming. You're not on screen for all that long. How many times did you film that one scene over the course of the 3 days?
Well, I'm actually in another scene in the movie too.
Oh, really?
There's a scene where the girls are trying on dresses and
oh, you're one of the guys who like knocks on the window?
No. I'm not one of the creepy guys who's trying to, harm Bella. Uh-huh. No, I walk by in the background with the same girl that I'm at the restaurant with. We both just walk by in the background.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to be on the lookout for that now.
That was the first day I sat in my car the whole time. The second day I did that scene and we did some other scenes that didn't make the movie where we were just kind of walking around and hanging out in the downtown area. That was the only one that made it in. And then the third day we did some more filming outside and then we did the the cafe scene.
Right.
That was like multiple takes because we were in the background the whole time. And it's crazy because when you're on the set, it's like you have to act like you're in a restaurant, and you're talking to the person, but you're pantomiming. So you're just like moving your mouth, and we're having this, fake conversation and eating the food. We had brownies.
Interesting.
So it's like I ate a lot of brownies, and we were just straight playing Jenga.
Okay.
And,
that Jenga, I gotta say, if the whole point is to make as little noise as possible, Jenga seems like a terrible game to play.
What we did was we grabbed pieces from the top,
okay,
and then pulled them down, and then put them right back on top. So we went back from like eating our little brownies and stuff. There was real food, and then we'd take turns playing Jenga, and then we'd act like we were talking. So we did that. We did that for like a few hours. So I ate like probably 20 brownies or something.
I had no idea. Like I've watched that scene a lot. I have examined it very closely for my show. I am going to have to go back and watch even closer because I had no idea you were just eating brownies and watching Jenga, playing Jenga, two perfectly normal things to do at what is supposed to be in the movie an Italian restaurant.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't think that we were supposed to be necessarily eating brownies, but they thought that would be the thing that we could eat a bunch of.
Yeah, that's probably
so
just
our
like
mouths are moving like we're eating and stuff.
Right. Sort of just the cheapest thing they could get in bulk or whatever that would be, good to keep eating over and over again. How many hours straight did you say it took to shoot that scene and all the various angles of it?
It was a few hours, and then like my part where they like did the close up on me was the craziest part because they like everybody else left, and it was like a couple of the camera people and like the director, and then just me. I don't even think they actually used the close ups that we filmed. I think they just zoomed in on another angle of me because it was crazy. Because here I am. This is on my first movie set. I got the Panavision like right in my face. You know what I mean? Like it was pretty crazy, man. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So did you know when you were auditioning and going through the early process, did you know that you were going to be like that featured in the movie?
No, I think it's attributed to the first day. There was maybe like 4 of us extras, and we're just sitting in our car, and then we went. The ADs knock on the window in our cars. We're like, okay, we're gonna break for dinner now, and then we just ate with everybody. So it was the whole like small cast of it was like Bella and Edward and a few other people and the director and some other people, and so I just went and sat like right next to Robert and the fucking director and just started talking to her and shit.
Okay.
So I I was a huge fan of her films, like 13 and Lords of Dogtown.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about it. I was like, I really enjoy 13. I really love that movie. And then I didn't realize that you directed Lords of Dogtown until afterwards. I was like, that was so awesome. I love your coming of age angle, and then she like looked at me and she was like, I want you to be in my cafe scene. And I told her, I was like, I want to be in your cafe scene. I think just me just hobnobbing a little bit. And I was a little scared because they kind of told us not to talk to the actors and stuff. But I was like,
they always say
they didn't say anything about the director.
That is true.
Anything about the director.
You got him on a technicality there.
Yeah, I'm gonna chit chat with the director, and then that line wasn't even like in the script. She just kind of made it up.
Yeah, you know, especially the way you look at that time, look like a guy who you would not expect to be thinking about cats. And from what I understand about the shoot, is they were adding lots of little lines like that throughout basically the entire movie. So yeah, it makes total sense that they would see you and think, let's do something with this guy.
Yeah, it was funny, you know what I mean? And then they told me about the cat, and then they're doing the face up, and I'm just smiling, and they're like, you don't like your cat that much? And I'm like, you don't know my cat.
That was one of the questions I actually had. Were you actually thinking about cats?
Yeah, I mean, my roommate had a cat at the time. Its name was Ninja. It's this black cat. I actually posted a picture of the cat in one of the Twilight groups because everybody was asking about the cat.
So you film for 3 days. You're on set, and then your time there on set ends. What happens after that? When did you first see the movie?
I didn't even know if I was going to be in the movie, and you sometimes you don't make it past editing. I had a girlfriend at the time who was in Canada, and I was going to the midnight showing right down the street from my house. And, she just like texted me and she said, you're in the movie. She was like, it's pretty cool. You'll think it's cool, and then I went and watched the movie for the first time at the midnight showing, whenever the night before it came out.
Did anyone there recognize her? Did you say anything to the people you were seeing it with? What was that
No, I made some noise after I appeared on the screen. I was like, "What?"
like? And for the rest of the movie theater, they just thought, "Who's this guy talking during the movie?"
And there wasn't even really very many people there. There was maybe like 40 people there. But definitely after the movie came out, especially like living in Portland, I mean, a lot of people recognized me after the movie came out.
Hold on, I have to appropriately step away to go deal with a cat. Please give me just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. At some point, the Twilight fans find you. What happens in that in-between period? Did you keep up with the other movies? Did you keep watching them? What was that like?
Oh, with the other, yeah, I've seen all the movies and stuff. I didn't read
Yeah.
all the rest of the books. Mainly, I'm kind of a shy person, so mainly if it came up or something, it's usually one of my friends saying something about it to kind of
Yeah.
embarrass me. No, I mean, we went years until like about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Someone, or one of my friends, his daughter was in the Twilight shitposting group.
Shout out to
And
the Twilight shitposting group.
so like they posted a picture and they're like, I wonder what cat guy's up to.
Yeah.
And so they were all trying to figure out who I was. And since I'm not credited in the film, they were like, is this cat guy, And then they're I found out about it and then I joined the group and posted it. It's like, hey, I'm that guy.
Yeah, I've had a weirdly similar experience with Twilight. I 3 years ago made a sign for my then girlfriend, now wife, ran a half marathon, and I made a sign with a Twilight quote on it that went kind of viral on Twitter. And then a couple years after that, I was on Jeopardy and told that story for my little interview segment. And like the day my episode aired, or like the day after, had like a Facebook message from someone I'd never met before, like, hey, are you the Twilight guy from Jeopardy? I'm in this Facebook group and we're looking for you. And it was the shitposting group, sure enough. And similar to your experience, yeah, there was a big post about like, who is this guy? We have to find him. So what was that like from your side of things? Was this something you ever expected?
No, I didn't know anybody cared. And then, I mean, I started doing some digging and someone had like a fake Twilight cat guy like Facebook profile and stuff, and I was like, oh, crap.
Interesting.
So like I joined and then I did like a ask me anything post that had I spent like so many days trying to reply, and then they have like a cap so I couldn't heart all the messages or anything. Now I mean every once in a while people will post memes and stuff, and
sure,
I put together a website, teamcatguy.com, so people could have merchandise and stuff, because everybody was asking me for t-shirts and autographs and things like that. Had my friend draw up a logo and I started making Team Cat Guy merch. So and every once in a while people will post a meme about me and people will buy stuff off my website.
Hey, not
I
bad.
just had a surge recently. I've sold like 30 autographed pictures recently because somebody bought one and posted it on the group. So I mean, that was pretty cool for me,
Not bad. And hopefully we can get you another one from being on this show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'll
like
see
signing
what I
the
can
pictures.
do.
And I've only done I went to the Forever Twilight Festival a couple years ago, and that was awesome.
What was that like? I'm really considering going within the next year or two. What was that like?
I felt like a complete utter like superstar. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It was like
yeah.
I'm taking pictures at the gas station with people. It was yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, did you like, I don't know, tell the organizers you were going, or did you just sort of show up? How did that work?
I own a house in Aberdeen, which is like, fairly close to Forks. There's not really anything close to Forks, but as far as town goes, I mean, Port Angeles and Aberdeen are probably the two closest towns, even though it's still a few hours away.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I live in Michigan now. Mm-hmm. So I hit up the people, and then finally they got back to me and they brought me out.
Yeah. What did you do while you were there?
I tried to do all the stuff, and me and my wife had just got married, so it was kind of like our honeymoon too, going back to where we were both from. So, and I love the area, so I had to do all the stuff like Solduck Hot Springs, the Soho Rainforest, going to La Push, and just kind of hanging out in the, I just love that part of the world.
Yeah.
Between the mountains and the coast is just kind of my happy place.
It is great. Yeah, my wife and I went there a few years ago, went to Seattle for her birthday and rented a car to drive out for Forks. And the drive out there between Seattle and Forks, like we took the ferry. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Hey, you went to Bremerton, huh? That way?
Something like, I honestly couldn't tell you. We drove, we took a ferry and then drove across a lovely island with some cute little towns. And then we drove next to a mountain for a long time until we got to Forks. That's the best I got for you.
Yeah, the Cascades right there. Yeah, it's
it was
beautiful
nice.
out there, man. Especially
Yeah.
the ferry because you cruise through the sound.
Yeah, that was great.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I've done that a few times.
So your wife, to circle it back a little bit, have you been? How long have the two of you been together?
13 years.
Okay, so it's now 2024. So then, what was it like? When did you tell her you were in Twilight, and was this something that she was into, before meeting you?
No, not necessarily. I mean, she knew I was in it because we met
Yeah.
through. We have like mutual people that we know, but I
Yeah.
don't really think she's necessarily a Twilight fan or anything like that. I mean, my friends would even try to hit on chicks at bars and say, "Oh, he's in Twilight," and then I mean, no one cares about Cat Guy. The only
Yeah.
people that care are the sewer rats, and that's why I love those peoples. Most people don't believe me. Like this lady that worked at the gas station by my house.
Yeah.
I'd go in there every day to buy gas and whatnot, and she was like, "You look like just like this guy that's in this movie my daughter loves." And I'm like, "Is it Twilight?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You look just like that guy." And I was like, "Well, I am that guy."
Surprise, surprise.
She didn't believe me, and so I brought her in my script.
Is that the only souvenir you have from filming, or were you able to hold on to anything else?
Yeah,
Have
it.
you been
I
keeping
got
a very old brownie for the last 15 years?
No. The only thing I have is my side, and I guess I have my Summit Entertainment, like my pay stubs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that's about it. Yeah, somebody else said I wasn't the actual guy, and so he was like anybody could do the script, and so I posted my pay stub.
Pretty good
with my
proof right
name on
there.
it. Because I
Got
mean
it.
I'm not credited in the movie, so but I mean obviously it's me.
All right, I think that's about all the time I have for tonight. Anything else you want to say to Twilight fans before we wrap things up here?
Well, gee, just thanks for showing the Team Cat Guy love. If you're a member of the Team Cat Guy, I always represent.
Right,
Team
yeah.
Cat Guy is a loving group. We don't have to choose between Edward or Jacob. And cause drama. You could just be Team Cat Guy. It's kind of play the fence.
That is true. You know what? Now that I think about it, one last question to wrap things up. What do you think happens to Cat Guy after that eventful Italian dinner? Where do you think he goes from there? What's Cat Guy doing now, years and years later on?
I am currently working on a project that will completely explain Cat Guy's whole thing that he's doing and what his story is. Because Cat Guy definitely has him and Ninja have their own story that's running parallel with the Twilight stories. So I've been working on that for quite a while, and it's going to come out sooner than later. Hopefully not.
Yeah. If Stephanie Meyer can write Twilight from Edward's perspective, why not pick any other character and just sort of go for it?
Well, thanks for having me out, man.
Yeah, we'll end it on a little cliffhanger there, a little teaser, see what comes next from Team Cat Guy. There you go. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Brandon.
Yeah, man, and it's awesome for having me on. Thank you so much, man. And
yeah,
I hope you have a good rest of your week.
Yeah, you too. I'm going to throw it to my future self now to wrap up the rest of the show. Take it away, future Ben. Thanks, past Ben. And thank you, Brandon, for taking the time to talk with me and tell me things I did not know about Twilight. And thank you to you, the listener, everyone who has listened to the show, shared it with a friend, talked about it on social media, that sort of thing. The show's been growing through some incredible growth over the last couple months, and I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to you, the listener, who has made that possible. I set a goal for the number of downloads I wanted to reach by the end of the year, and we crossed that in mid-August. I have incredibly high hopes for the show, things I want to do in 2025, including having more actual actors on the show. I also want to do live shows. I want to do some here in Chicago where I am. I'd like to travel with the show. These are all things I hope to start doing next year in 2025. We're only about 15 episodes away from New Moon, and I have some pretty high hopes for the things we can do, the guests we can get in those episodes. And you can be a part of making those happen. Here is how. You can continue to do all the things you're already doing. Keep listening. Please, if you like the show, leave a review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow the show on social media. Keep liking posts, that sort of thing. Tell your friends about it if you had a good time. Word of mouth truly is the best way to get word out. You also may have heard me talk in recent episodes about how you can financially support the show. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those now. If you go to twilightpodcast.com/store, you can find a sticker of the show's logo, perfect for water bottles, notebooks, those sorts of things. Those are only $2. I will personally mail you a sticker with a handwritten note on a stamped envelope. Another way you can support the show financially at twilightpodcast.com/store is by sponsoring an episode. The way sponsoring an episode works is for $50, you get to write an up to 100-word message that I will read on the next episode of the show or near a date that you specify. It can be an ad for your business, your podcast, that sort of thing. It can be a shout out to another listener. Whatever you want to make me say, within reason, I will say. Every single dollar that has already come in from that and will come in from that will go back into making this show even bigger and even better, getting it into more ears of more listeners, and hopefully, yes, getting more guests on the show who were actually in the movie Twilight. And one final production note before I wrap things up here. It's getting to the holiday season, which means me and my prospective guests are getting very busy, and it's hard to schedule episodes. So until the end of this year, I'm going to shift to releasing new episodes every other week. You're going to hear the next regular episode soon. The baseball scene is coming with past guest Jack Shalinski. Just recorded that, and it was a ton of fun. Then the next episode will come out 2 weeks after that, and so on until January comes around. Longtime listeners to the show may remember around this time last year, I just completely dropped off the face of the planet and didn't release an episode for like 3 months, and I'm trying to make sure that does not happen again. I enjoy the show and want to keep making episodes for you, but that is it. That's all the business I have for you, which means it's time to wrap up this mini episode of the show. Thank you, as always, to my editor, Ben Oxshire, for putting this show together. I personally edited this episode, so if it sounds worse, that's why, and hoo boy, did it give me a brand new appreciation for what it takes to edit a conversation. Thank you so much for everything that you do, Ben. You can follow him on social media, on Instagram at This Guy Knows as well. Thank you to the band Swimwear Department for letting me use their song Mauled to Death as our theme. You can see them and hear them on Spotify, your music app of choice. Give them a listen everywhere you get music. Thank you to Kellen Lutz for one day listening to this show and coming on it. I swear it's going to happen. Hopefully between here and Eclipse. Anyway, that is it. That is all I have for this episode of the show. See you next week when Jack Shalinski comes back on to talk about the long-awaited baseball scene.